This is Tamer Bloba coming at you with another Kindred Fates video. This time we'll be talking about the alpha release roster. So what we know so far for the roster is that the roster is going to be Skulkin, Slifer, Kudoki, Shovelbutt, Imbear, Mekid, and Lightstack. We're going to be taking a look at each of them and going over what we know so far about them in this video. We're going to be starting with Skulkin. So, what we know about Skulkin so far is that Skulkin will be a dark-type kinfolk, and we've been able to see a few of his moves. So we can expect it to have debuffs at the slow attack it uses in the trailer when it attacks, and I think his teleport and his slow will likely make him a deadly foe. If I had to say his strongest matchup, will likely be versus Slifer. While we don't know much about Slifer, I think it's safe to assume he'll be relying on movement speed. And if he relies on mostly his movement speed, then I think Skulkin will be a good counter against that. If all he has to do is hit him with like a single slow attack, and then teleport over and finish him off with a combo, similar to what he did to Kudoki in the trailer. Speaking of Slifer, we've still not seen much about him, but we can assume based on his design that he will most likely rely on fast movement and hard to dodge attacks. I think that if this is true, then his strongest matchup will likely be versus Imbear, as fast movement speed and quick melee attacks would work well against Imbear's range attack focus that is common fire types, and Imbear will likely move slower than most fire types, might be able to make up for it with some increased health or defense, but generally speaking, if I had to pick Slifer versus Imbear, I would bet on Slifer in that situation. Next up, I wanted to talk about Kudoki. Kudoki is someone we've seen enough about, I feel that we get a good idea about how he will play. And so based on what we know, Kudoki will be able to summon minions and has at least one ranged attack in the shape of a tornado that we saw earlier in the fight versus Skulkin. I think that Kudoki's strongest matchup will likely be versus Shovelbutt. The reason being, I think, with the slow movement speed, Shovelbutt will have a hard time getting past Kudoki's minions. Kudoki will be able to snipe him with his ranged attacks while his minions help keep him back. Of course, like everything, this is based on pure speculation, and we'll have to wait to see how Shovelbutt fares against some of the more adept ranged combatants when the alpha finally hits sometime in late November. Next up is a fan favorite, Shovelbutt. With Shovelbutt, I think he'll likely take a lot to take out. You know, being an Earth type, he's going to most likely have a high defense and high health. This ranged attack we see here, and he'll likely have a strong melee attack to go with it. I feel he'll be one of the stronger kinfolk in the alpha rosters. I think his strongest matchup will be versus Slifer, and because I think Slifer will do poorly in long drag-out fights. And in those same fights, Shovelbutt will thrive. So I think that Shovelbutt's best matchup will very likely be Slifer. Next up is Imbear. I think Imbear will be a heavy hitter with slower attacks and higher health than normal for fire types. If this turns out to be true, I feel his strongest matchup will be versus Kudoki, due to the fact that his range attacks will counter the minion style gameplay. And if Imbear does have a higher damage, I think Kudoki will have a hard time staying alive and dodging all of his ranged attacks. From what we see, Kudoki is likely to not be a tanky character. I can imagine him having a relatively low defense or hit points, making him easy prey for one of Imbear's heavy-hitting fire attacks. Next, I wanted to talk about Mekid. Mekid's interesting. The only mecha that we'll be seeing in the alpha. And mecha are one of the types I'm very interested to see how it will work out. But we haven't had a chance to see a lot with them. What we do know, though, is mecha will have very slow with high health and damage. Considering that, I think we can assume his strong matchup will be versus Skulkin. I think it seems like this because the Skulkin will focus on taking his opponents down quickly, and Mekid will likely be able to take him out as soon as Skulkin gets close. As we saw with Skulkin in the trailer, he was able to stun the Kudoki with a slow attack, teleport in, and unleash a combo on him. I think Mekid would be able to survive a combo like that and deliver an attack that punishes just as much, if not even more, than what we saw Skulkin deliver. And last but not least would be Light Stag. For Light Stag, I think if I had to pick a favorite for who will be the strongest in the alpha roster so far, it would probably be Light Stag. I think he'll be the fastest, and we'll see him have a ranged attack tease and a gift. This, combined with the light type buffs, will make Light Stag a strong opponent. That being said, I think that Light Stag's strongest matchup will be versus Ember. I say this because if they ever get into a fight, they're both going to be using ranged attacks, but I feel like Light Stag's buffs, speed, will give him an advantage over Ember's slower speed and slower attack speed. But that about covers it all for the roster so far. Feel free to leave a comment below talking about what you think and what team you'll be using. If you want to keep up with me, I have a link to my Discord and Twitter below. And until next time, this is Monster Bloba signing off. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye.